Yep. Okay. So, Trek Corps put out a thing with the cast of the new Starfleet Academy thing, and you know what? Academy cadets that are like newly assigned is a recurring plot hook for having new characters in Star Trek Adventures. So let's take a look at this and compare this to what I would expect of a Star Trek Adventures group, huh? Okay, so first up we have the... Why are they calling her a chancellor? Um, yeah, commandant would seem to be the right word here, not chancellor. Whatever. Anyways, um, she's running Starfleet Academy and is also operating the USS Athena, which is a training ship used to teach cadets how to do shipboard stuff. Because let's face it, you're not going to send someone to a ship to be an actual full-time crew member when they have no idea how to do things. So, the whole like training ship thing makes perfect sense. It's actually come up many, many times before related to Starfleet Academy. Now, the thing about this that's interesting is that she's a half Lanthanite. Lanthanites are a race that got introduced in Strange New Worlds. One of several races in Star Trek that is, by human standards, functionally immortal. I mean, they don't age the way humans do, but you see where this is going. They actually started doing that in the original series. Yeah, it's not a new thing. It's just one of those things that was never like a major central character before. Like the closest was Guinan, who was like a secondary character who showed up in more than one episode of TNG, but not even close to all of them. Yeah, we don't even... I'm not sure how many 100-year-olds old Guinan was, anyways. That's some weird stuff. Anyway, so... this character is apparently, long-lived. I do have to question certain things about this, though. It's like, how long has she been the Commandant of Starfleet Academy? Seems... yeah. Again, this is... I'm getting ahead of myself, sorry. This show is set in the 32nd century after the burn, apparently. So this version of Starfleet Academy is dealing with a very different world than in the older stuff. However, I'm going to assume that this is post Osira trying to take over Starfleet Command. So it's probably a world where they at least have, a semblance of a safe Federation. I say semblance because the Federation is not what it used to be. Anyway, though, yeah, there's a lot of questions about how they're going to handle that aspect of the plot, and this particular teaser does not tell us much. I'll get back to what it does tell us when it comes up, though. So, first up among the cadets is this guy, Random Human. Oh no, he has a troubled past and is somehow unlikely to be a Starfleet cadet. How? What makes him unlikely to be a Starfleet cadet? Yeah, we don't know. I'm sure they will eventually get around to telling us. I mean, that would be a logical direction for character development for him, is to, explain what makes him unlikely Starfleet cadet, blah, 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 whatever. Anyways, I don't know, maybe his parents worked for Osira and had to get new jobs when she got killed. All right, here we have a Klingon who is a medical officer. Yeah, this says sciences. That says medical. Okay, whatever. I do note, however, oh yeah, that's interesting. His stripe here is gray. This guy actually has a much lighter color of uniform, because like one thing I've noticed with some of the newer stuff is that they'll have medical uniforms be white with a blue stripe, and regular science uniforms be the same gray color with a blue stripe. So this does actually look like it's supposed to be a medical uniform variant. Hmm. Yeah, other than he wants to be a medical officer. We don't really know anything about him. To be honest, Klingon medical officers are that's not actually all that out of the ordinary. Yeah, so far these are both pretty simple characters. Like, oh yeah, you want to be that? Okay, sure, whatever. There you go. Here's your character sheet. Now this one. What's a Casquian? Why is it spelled differently in the tweet and in the image for the card? I don't know. I tried looking it up on the wiki. They don't exist. So something that they invented for this show, seemingly, and also, what does Kaskian mean when it's a hologram? The first Kaskian to attend the academy, comma, she's a hologram. Yes. Also, what does series acclamation mill even mean? We don't know. Obviously, those are things that would be reasons to do development of that later. Also, the first hologram to be at Starfleet Academy seems iffy. I mean, we are talking about holograms as cadets, not as training aids. So, but even so, given that this is the 32nd century, having her be the first hologram seems unlikely. So I'm guessing that when she says first Kaskian, the reason they're referring to her as a Kaskian is to specify the specific type or origin of her holographic programming, which is a giant empty void of information because we don't know anything because it's new stuff. I knew. This one is... we don't know. Yeah. A lot of these are basically just like we made up something new. Which is actually a thing you'll have players do when they're making characters for Starfleet Academy. Be like, oh, I went to play a new race that no one's ever seen before. I tried looking up his species, and the only thing I was able to come up with was the Koinonians. It's not the same spelling. It's kind of similar. That's literally the only thing I could come up with. And as this notes, they are believed to have been extinct for centuries. As of 2400, they were extinct for centuries. As of 3200, yeah, just add a few more centuries. Yeah. Probably not these guys. Probably. It is kind of like the T-race thing, though, is that at some point you start having names that sound similar because, you're using the same letters repeatedly. Anyway, though, wealthy homeworld of race we've never heard of before. Yep, okay, that checks out. Admiral's daughter her race is called Darsha, and she has what looks kind of pointy ears, and yep, that's all we know about her. Also, her name sounds an awful lot like a human name. Yeah, that's not much information. Next up, we have a, well, it says Beta Zed's president. Presumably she's Betazoid or part Betazoid. That's literally the only thing we know about her. Also, when you take a close look at her eyes, it doesn't actually look like she's wearing the contacts you'd expect a Betazoid to be wearing. It's because you look at the whole, like, typical Betazoid eye, the actors have to wear contacts to make their eyes look like this. It's not quite like, like the old cat eye thing, but the concept is quite similar to having contacts so that you look like you have cat eyes. Betazoid eyes are not the same as human eyes. However, they do often have a reflective glint to them, and I'm not really sure how much of this is a reflection on her eye and how much of it's the actual eye color. Anyways, though, this is presumably not one of the recruits. This is presumably some sort of an academy staff position, because this is an in-character shot of her wearing a white outfit that looks like a civilian outfit by Star Trek standards. Although it could be that she's basically doing the same thing Deanna Troi did in TNG, where she is a half Betazoid who is acting as the ship's counselor and thus wears a non-standard outfit to remind everyone that she's there to, look after their mental well-being and stuff like that. Yeah, we don't know. All this actually tells us is daughter of Beta Zed's president, but since this is an actual in-character picture of her, we can infer a certain number of things about the way the character looks, since these are all just mugshots for a ID card or something. So those don't have as much information about the character. It is, however, notable on these that they have, their branch whatever stuff. Except for this guy, who apparently doesn't have one yet because he's just that talented. Yeah. Anyway, moving on. This is the first officer on the training ship. A lot of people have had their heads scratching because why do we have a Klingon Jem'Hadar hybrid? Why? Why? I don't know. To be honest, there is a massive void in the lore explaining what the heck happened to the Jem'Hadar after the Dominion War was over. It's not like the founders would just get rid of them. Obviously something happened with them. And also, this is the 32nd century. We have no idea. Oh, also, apparently if you look really, really close, this is actually a pattern composed of tiled Klingon logos. Yeah, see, hard to make out at this resolution, but it's like uh, just like tiled Klingon logos all up and down the whole thing. This kind of fits in with the whole idea that Gene Roddenberry had come up with in his prototype draft version of The Next Generation, where the Klingon Empire, it was actually functionally a part of the Federation. That was the idea that he was originally going with when attempting to write TNG. It's not how it ended up in the final draft, but some of the early episodes of TNG actually did get written from that perspective. So it looks a bit, it feels weird in the context of later episodes. It's like, wait a second, why are the KDF being so chummy with the Federation? Oh wait, that was why. Yeah. Anyways, and then we have several returning characters. The Doctor. Oh, you know what? I forgot about that. Doctor. Do. See, there's actually more than one. This looks horrible. So, dang it. I should have pulled this up before I started recording. Whatever. Anyway, living witness, lying inactive for 700 years. So that would be about the year 3000. Yeah. So, living witness happened before the 32nd century. So the duplicate of the doctor we saw in Living Witness might actually be the one that we have in this show. However, I don't know yet. Let's put it that way. Anyway, yeah, that's a thing I thought of the first time. I was like, wait a second, we have the doctor in a far future TV show. We've already seen the doctor in the far future. Is this the original Doctor or the duplicate? We don't know yet. This does say here, returning from Star Trek Voyager and Prodigy. And as we saw in the wiki page, that's how he looks in Prodigy. And I don't particularly think it's great, but whatever. It's kind of okay, I guess. Anyway, moving on. Is this going to be a direct sequel to his appearance in Prodigy? Maybe. Maybe not. I don't know. This, however, it's like it's the same character of the Doctor, but it's a different version of the Doctor. Again, I don't know. Anyway, enough about that. Jet Reno. I have no idea why Jet Reno's here. No, seriously, it's because Jet Reno. I don't think Jet Reno was one of the feature characters. If I remember right, Jet Reno was one of those characters who they find relatively early in this. I don't remember the exact specifics of how they found Jet Reno. Anyway, yeah, I believe Jet Reno was one of the characters from the original time period of Discovery, but I could be wrong about that. Anyway, Admiral Vance. Well, okay, this is like the most prominent character from the 32nd century in the Federation's high command. I do note something about this that is rather strange, and I don't understand it. Why is he wearing what looks like a Bajoran uniform? Why? Yeah. These are variations of the 32nd century uniform that we've already seen. Yeah, I remember what I said about the medical personnel wearing white. Yeah, that. He doesn't have blue shoulder thingies, but whatever. Open image in new tab. Let's look at this in a bigger size. No freaking way. That actually does look like a Bajoran logo, not like one of these things. That actually looks like a Bajoran. Why on earth is he wearing a Bajoran uniform? Yep, okay. Anyways, moving on. I don't know. It piques my curiosity, but unfortunately I have no information to go on other than that one image alone. Literally nothing else to go on. Oh well. And the final thing is the random guy who's the recurring villain. See, as I mentioned before, part of the Burnth plot was that the Federation fragments and you end up with several splinter factions that are no longer working together and fighting for dominance, really, I guess is the best way to put it. Realistically, we don't really actually know how this guy's past fits into that. The fact that he's a half Klingon, half Tellarite is interesting. I don't remember any episodes with part Tellarite characters in the past. And half Klingon, sure, whatever. Anyway. Yeah, it says ominous past with one of the Academy cadets. Gee, I wonder which one that is. Probably this guy. I mean, it could be this guy because this guy actually is a Klingon, but I don't know. We don't actually know enough about any of them to say with any certainty, and that's all. This guy's outfit does kind of sort of give the impression that he is in some way a pirate, sort of rogue traders kind of character, but don't really know a whole lot about him, so, the vibe fits with the sort of villain that Asira was, but all we have is a vibe. Anyways, and that was about it. Like I said, it's like this is the actually kind of sort of thing I would expect a group of players to come up with for a player party for a Star Trek Adventures game. I mean, I played Star Trek Adventures in person, and people will quite regularly come up with silly ideas for that sort of thing. Nothing out of the ordinary as far as I can see here for the actual things that people will try to play in Star Trek Adventures. Do I think they're dumb? Yes. As a GM, I am very hesitant to actually make up new races unless I'm actually planning to use that new race. Maybe the person who made the race up will regret their decision later, but that's something for future development that hasn't happened yet. Anyway, though, so yeah, I have a lot of questions about why they decided to set this in the 32nd century. Unfortunately, I don't have enough information to actually say anything. So, yeah, I'm going to see you guys later.